Oftentimes when I speak to teachers learning how to do project-based learning, I'm met with some resistance because I know what they're thinking. Project-based learning is just another education acronym. PBL, SEL, PBIS, LEA, FUC. It's another thing that's supposed to have all of the answers. And yet if you've been doing this for a while, you know that education is often like pogs or beanie babies or bottle flipping. It's a fad that's here today and gone tomorrow. And when you have limited time and limited resources, you don't have time for fads. And so I always start by acknowledging this reality and empathizing with their resistance. I mean, I get it, but then I try to help teachers understand that project-based learning isn't actually another fad. All PBL truly is figuring out how students can solve meaningful problems by using the content and skills that they're learning in the classroom. Teachers can still use their best practices, still use those lesson plans that they've used many times before because they know they work, except now there's this motivation for students to engage during those lessons. There's a problem that matters to them. And so learning this material is worth it in order to solve the problem. The motivation's bigger than the gradebook or pressure from teachers or parents. I mean, for instance, one time I had my students create cookbooks with very simple recipes for refugees in our area. But it was emphasized to students how excellent spelling and grammar is essential for their cookbooks. For people new to the English language, proper punctuation is crucial. And so for part of that project, my students learned spelling and grammar. I did my tried and true grammar unit. And sometimes grammar instruction requires some drill and kill. I demonstrate, you practice. I demonstrate, you practice. Maybe I even need to bust out an old worksheet or two. And from the outside looking in, this looks like a typical traditional grammar lesson. But now my students are a little more engaged because the purpose of learning this grammar, which can be tedious and even a little boring, was meaningful. If we want to serve our audience of refugees, we need to learn proper punctuation. This is at the heart of project-based learning. Now, there are best practices for planning and managing meaningful PBL. There is some new to it, and this is what I cover when I work with teachers or they take my online course on project-based learning. But first I try to disarm some of the misconceptions. PBL isn't just another thing to add to your teaching repertoire. It's the foundation for learning. Or maybe think of it like this, it's more like an umbrella of authenticity that goes over all of the good work that you have your students do. And authentic motivation is something that lasts far longer than pogs or beanie babies or bottle flipping. Which, by the way, I really hope doesn't come back.